Hello, everybody. Terrence Lakey here with another episode of the Intellectual Agrarian podcast, where we talk philosophy from the farm. Today is a tea time episode, but even for tea time episodes, this one's going to be a little different. This episode, I'm going to give you some autumnal updates. Today that we're releasing this episode will be the Monday, and just on Saturday, 2 days prior, was the first day of autumn. And along with the season change, as my job is in agriculture, so my job changes ever so slightly. Things adjust and alter based on what's growing on. Okay, bad pun, yes, but was it worth it? I hope you agree with me and we can say it was. So just kind of an update on how things are going for my organic inspections. This is kind of the crest of the season because we're just hitting the harvest season, and so things get thrown off a little bit. Scheduling of farmers is a little more difficult. It just really depends on what kind of inspection it is. And, you know, when you're sitting there with a farmer and they just keep looking out at the field and you can just almost hear their brains saying, I could be harvesting right now. So that's where we're at with inspections. Just on the first day of autumn, I actually went and visited the Palatine Farmers Market. That was a lot of fun. The Palatine Farmers Market is in Palatine, Illinois. I went there because Peter Gruby from Middlebury Farms, you hopefully remember Peter. He's been on the podcast 3 times. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, Peter. Regardless, we're definitely going to have Peter on the show again soon. But he goes to that market, so we went and visited it. I was in between me going to see friends, so it was a perfect stop off. And I brought my camera and video equipment, so we actually did a field notes episode where I talk with Peter, the market manager, and a couple of other vendors and people involved in the process. That video will be available on Tuesday on our YouTube page. So if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, be sure to go subscribe to it. We'll, of course, have it linked to all of the other things that we do. So if you follow us on Instagram already, be sure to look for the link to that video. Again, it'll be available, I think, 8 a.m. on Tuesday. Yes. You know, we have to pre-schedule a lot of these things just because of timing and upload time. Dear goodness, trying to upload on internet in the country can be an ordeal that, unless you live in the country, you really don't understand. Anyway, the next order of business was to inform you that we're going to have a couple of interesting interviews coming up. I had the opportunity to interview Evan Thompson from the Rochefoucauld. He does a lot of different podcasts, but primarily it's hardcore philosophy. And we discussed Jeffersonian ideology and philosophy and a lot of what goes into that, how it formed an outlook on agriculture, and how it formed our nation. That will be a 2-part episode. We'll be releasing the first one 1 week from today when you're listening to this, the following Monday, and then the second half of that episode will be released the next Monday. So instead of a Tea Time or a My Father's World, we'll be releasing part 2 of the same interview. I'm currently finishing an article for Good Guy Swag right now that I'm hoping to finish. It's on contentment, which is always an interesting proposition. It came from a line from Epictetus on living as the author chooses. So I'm really kind of excited to get that finished, edited, and sent to them whenever they publish it. If you're not already reading the other things that I do as Terrence Lakey, not just as the Intellectual Agrarian, be sure to follow my personal Instagram page, which you can find linked in our Intellectual Agrarian Instagram page, which if you're not already following that, you're really missing out. We have some great quotes that we post at least 2 or 3 times a week on really what is agrarian philosophy. In many cases, these are just little quotes to remind us of this is where food fits in the grand scheme of things. Also, if you haven't already known, I started terrencelakey.com. So now that website is there, it's up, it's running. There, I'll be doing a little bit more personal blogging on some of my interests besides and beyond agriculture. You'll be able to read about, I think the last article I published was on mugshot, that's why I call my mug series. I talk about the various mugs I've purchased in my little mini adventures, which happen from time to time. There, I'm also going to be publishing an article on how Christians use Stoicism, or at least how I, as a Christian, use Stoicism. That was a prompt I actually got today. I'm recording this on Sunday. You'll be listening to it on Monday, in which someone asked me about how I use that between my Christian faith. And I'm looking forward to getting that finished. I think it's an interesting idea. I was glad for the prompt because I think it's a worthwhile discussion. And speaking of prompts and discussions, if you ever have a topic that you'd like to hear us talk about for a Tea Time episode, please be sure to email us at show@intellectualagrarian.com. If you're interested in having more, there's the oven going off telling me that it's now preheated. And if you'd be interested in hearing more of these informal discussions and updates on what's going on and some of the projects I'm working on, please be sure to let us know. But once again, follow us on Facebook, Instagram. All of that will be linked in the show notes here. And if you have a topic you want to hear us talk about for tea time, because sometimes we're busy and can't think of the perfect thing every time, please be sure to email us, show@intellectualagrarian.com. Don't forget to check out that farmers market video. Again, that will be live on Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. I don't often make videos, in part just because of the sheer production value time, but it is a fun experience, and it was great to visit this farmer's market. I grew up doing farmers markets, and so anytime I get a chance to visit one and do a field notes video, it is an awesome time for me personally, and I hope you guys get just as much out of it as I did. So thanks again for listening. We're just going to wrap up here this informal discussion. I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and be sure to look out for that episode next week on philosophy in agrarianism and Jeffersonian ideology. I don't have the title of the episode quite ready yet, but I think it's a great discussion. I had a great time talking with him. We could have gone on even longer. We're dividing into part 1 and 2, so that gives you an idea that it is a little bit longer than most. But I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks again for listening. This has been Terrence Lehue and the Intellectual Agrarian Podcast, reminding you to keep farming the dream.